This is Python's Paradise. This is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena, straight out of Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada. And folks, here we are, August the 15th, 2023. And yeah, we're winding down on the summer. But it just means, fall and Halloween is on its way. And speaking of which, Halloween's when you get to watch scary movies. In my case, it's probably videos of me and my cat. Otherwise, folks, I have a wonderful guest on the show with me today, and as of next year, of course, A Nightmare on Elm Street will be celebrating 40 years. Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's hard to believe that it's that many years now.
I would have been 12 in 1984 when that came out, and it's just amazing to me. But oops, my background switch. There's my Nightmare on Elm Street Blu-ray. I do have a box set for it, but the original and I really like the third one a lot too. But those are my favorite two, um, for the Elm Street movies. But nonetheless, you're that famous one there in the hall where you say to Heather Langenkamp, "No running in the hall." And of course, she says, "Screw your pass."
It is amazing. I think I timed it, and that whole scene is probably 23 seconds long,
Hmm.
yet it's one of the most memorable scenes, as you just said, people will say, "Where's your pass? Screw your pass. Hey, Nancy, no running in the hallway." And people just, well, I've had people tell me that they just freak out of when Robert Anglin's Freddie's voice comes out of my mouth in the hallway. And I never even thought about it
You,
that it would cause that reaction.
you know what? It's interesting. You're only on there for a few seconds, yet it's memorable.
Yeah. And actually, when they remade the original Nightmare on Elm Street, they cut out the hall guard, hall monitor. So I am actually the only person that's ever played that part.
Well, there is a loophole. After all, in Scary Movie, when Henry Winkler looks out into the hall, there's Wes Craven in the Kruger shirt.
Oh, is he?
Did you see Scary Movie?
I feel like I saw it a really, really long time ago.
Actually,
I would have to see it again.
my apologies. I'm thinking Scary Movie. Scream is what I should be saying.
Oh, Scream? Okay, because I was in Scream 2. Are
Yeah.
you saying that it was in Scream 1?
You know what I'm mixing up? I had David L. Lander, who was Squiggy from Laverne and Shirley, on the show,
Uh-huh.
and in Scream, Henry Winkler, of course, was the Fonz, played the principal in Scream. In
Uh-huh.
Scary Movie, David L. Lander plays Principal Squigman, and I think I'm the only one to get that joke
Oh,
in the
yeah.
theater. That's what I was thinking. So, no, let me backtrack here. In Scream, Henry Winkler looks in the hall, and there's Wes Craven playing the janitor.
Oh, that is great. So wait a minute, you're saying now you got me confused. You're saying Scream?
Yeah, Scream.
I'll have to YouTube it and see if anyone has at least that clip on it.
Yeah, it's very brief, when he's got the Freddy Krueger shirt on. He doesn't have a glove on, it's just a brief scene, but
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
they did a documentary called Never Sleep Again, and Sean Clark and I did a spoof of the hallway. And in that case, he did have a pass.
I've had Sean Clark on here twice.
Oh,
Love him. Yep.
yeah.
I think Sean is great. Absolutely. But nonetheless, working with Wes Craven, of course, this was at the time his biggest hit after Last House on the Left and Deadly Blessings and Hills Have Eyes. But what made him ask you to play the hall monitor?
Okay. I'm really my profession is really being a stunt woman.
Yeah, I know.
Hired by Tony Caesar to play the hall guard. Not, I never was interviewed by anybody. I mean, I Tony just thought I'd be good for the part. He called me up and said, "Are you available?" And I said yes, and that's how I got the job. And you got to realize that this was a low no budget movie. I mean, and yet it well, again, I'm at a loss of words. I mean, for a movie that basically had no money, I mean, it created its own empire, franchise, whatever you want to call it, that it's lasted, as you said at the beginning, 40 years. I mean, people still watch it.
So, what was it like working with Wes Craven?
He's probably my favorite director that I've ever worked with. Wes was just such a gentleman. Again, as a stunt woman, I didn't even get a script. I mean, I just showed up on the set and I was told, okay, in this scene, I need you to do this. In this scene, I need you to do, Wes is telling me this. And what I remember was the last part, the "Hey Nancy, no running in the hallway," is Wes came up to me and he was apologetic. I mean, he he almost seemed sad. I mean, like he was taking something away from me, and he goes, um I just want you to understand. I need you to say, "Hey, Nancy, no running in the hallway," and then do a sinister laugh. But Robert Englund, or he said, the actor is going to dub in that line. So you're never going to hear your voice in the movie. I mean, the "Where's Your Pass" is in there, but it was just I've never had a director, like you say, apologize as if he was taking something away from me. I mean, I actually he gave me something even more. If
Do
you
you,
think,
yeah, do you still take Robert Englund's voice?
well, years later at a horror convention, Robert was telling me. Well, I introduced myself to him because I never saw him on the set that day. Um, and he was telling me he was in New York City at that point, and they brought him to this recording studio, and I guess it was old and dingy, and the headsets were made out of leather. I mean, and that was the first time he saw that piece of film, and he dubbed his voice in. But so he even remembers it.
Well, speaking of remembering, does Heather Langenkamp remember her hall pass when she sees you now?
Unfortunately, I haven't seen her in a long time. It's been a while since I've done a convention. I really would love to do conventions, but I don't know. I wish someone would call me up and invite me to a convention, because I love going to them, and the fans just, they come up with posters, and well, I have pictures from the scenes that I was in, and I mean, well, again, I've now I'm repeating myself, is that, sort of like what you say, is that I was 8 years old, I was 6 years old, I was this years old, and that that one scene, even today, still gives me nightmares.
Well, I would like to get some of your background and what led you to get into becoming a stunt woman. Now, I know I read that you trying to think. I read your Wikipedia, but I know when you were young you attended a function and that inspired you. Would you like to go into that into detail?
Uh-oh. I'm not sure what I think I know what you're talking about.
Well, it says okay, I'll go back here because I wanted to where did it say that? Oh yeah, it says she was inspired to pursue stunt acting on seeing a Universal Studio tour stunt show. Okay.
Okay, so going all the way back
Mm-hmm.
is when I was 3 or 4 years old, my mother had me take ballet lessons because I was pigeon-toed, and someone told her that if I took ballet lessons, I would be forced to turn my feet out. Um, but what they didn't know was I was gymnastically inclined, and instead of being part of a group of girls doing ballet, the teacher was teaching me gymnastics. So in a way, at that early age, I already knew how to fall without hurting myself or anything like that. But like I say, all I knew was I wanted to be in the entertainment business. And I did our local summer theater one year. Uh, I was the opening act to the recitals. At for the, well, like I say, for the ballet, tap dance, whatever. The teacher always had me open up the recital, because I was the gymnast. I mean, I could do flips and cartwheels and all sorts of things. Anyways, I always thought I was going to be an actress. I That's what entertainment meant to me. And um, as I got older, I actually went to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in New York City. I also went to the Herbert Burkhoff Studio in New York City, but I found acting slow. I mean, or at least the way especially the American Academy was teaching it, it was like Okay, walk here, stop, say your lines. Okay, walk here, stop, say your lines. That isn't what I wanted to do. My older brother actually attended Caltech in Pasadena, which is sort of, let's see, that would be northeast of Los Angeles. So, it's one big glob. Anyways, we went to the Universal Studio tours and we went to the Western Stunt Show. And all of a sudden, here are these guys coming out and they're shooting guns, they're falling, and suddenly the light bulb went on. And I said, that's what I want to be. I want to be a stunt woman because that way I could act and be physical as well. And I graduated high school and came out from Saranac Lake, New York, population 5,000 people. I went out to Los Angeles and discovered a gym where would-be stunt people would practice. I mean, in other words, we did not belong to the Screen Actors Guild yet, but we would teach each other like how to do high falls or fencing or just throwing punches and well, another thing is getting into the business. There's this vicious circle that you have to break somehow. And it's in order to join the union, you have to have a union job. In order to have a union job, you have to belong to the union. And why do you want me to go into that
Go,
story?
please, yeah.
Okay. Um, so it was really funny is that I went to the stunt coordinator. It was the movie called 2 Minute Warning, which is, I don't know, for some reason, studios make the same movie and just give it different titles. So that year, like you say, I did 2 Minute Warning, but another studio did Black Sunday, and it's about a football game and snipers or whatever, and everybody's running down the hallway. And this stunt coordinator had to replace the stunt people like every 3 days. He couldn't have the same people running down different hallways. So he said to me, if you can get a letter from the producer and get into the union, I will use you. Now I'm naive me. I call up the producer's office and I tell them the truth is that the stunt coordinator said if if they will write the letter for me, I'll join the union and the stunt coordinator is going to hire me. Now, this is the funny part of the story. Unbeknownst to me, there was another woman trying to get into the Screen Actors Guild, and she had friends at Universal. So it was planned that she would come into the office, ask for the letter, and get into the union. Well, the secretary who answered the phone didn't know, I guess, the name of the person, and she thought that I was that person. So I call up and request the letter, and she goes, fine, what's your name, what's your address, what's your what's your social security number. And I'm flabbergasted. I mean, it's like and when could I pick up this letter? And I forget if she said today or tomorrow. I mean, basically it was immediately. I went to Universal, got the letter, joined the union and got to work on 2 Minute Warning. It was really, then years later, I happened to meet this stunt woman, and well, she got in. Obviously, she got in as well, but she goes, "You got in on my coattails." You know, I didn't know what had happened, uh, but but it worked out for me,
Mm-hmm.
and I never looked back. I mean, and she had a good career too. I mean, like I say, it wasn't like I took someone's livelihood away,
Oh,
but still it's very funny because believe me, you can't call up a producer and say, by the way, write me a letter so I can get into the union. It does not work that way.
yeah. Well, I've had a few stunt people on here. Ted White has been on here a couple times. I've had Lisa Hoyle on here. I'm still in touch with, and uh, Gene Coulter I've had on here. And the question I always ask stunt people is who they loved doubling for the most. And I know that Lisa Hoyle, I remember saying Christina Applegate. She loved Christina Applegate, you know. Do you have a favorite person to double for?
Uh, well, they're yeah, hmm. That's a good question. um, I mean, I used to double Doris Roberts on Remington Steel,
Mm-hmm.
and she got to do funny stunts, so it was fun doubling Doris Roberts.
Mm-hmm.
Um, then another person was Wendy Jo Sperber, who is no longer
Oh,
with us,
yeah.
but
Mm-hmm.
I doubled her on I Want to Hold Your Hand,
Love that
1951,
film.
the television show Private Benjamin. And
Mm-hmm.
again, she got to do the funny stunts. So um, it was really nice working for Wendy Jo Sperber because you got to do these really unusual, funny stunts. I mean, memorable stunts. Um, I
I
I I just can't believe, boy, we're talking about 40 years about Nightmare on Elm Street. I just can't believe, I don't even, I'd have to look it up, but Wendy hasn't been with us for so long now. Uh but
I interviewed Nancy Allen on here in 2021. She was a bucket list interview. Love Nancy. She does the um,
we sp-
We Spark charity for in honor of Wendy Jo Sperber, and Nancy was I loved her in Dress to Kill, loved Nancy Allen. But Wendy Jo Sperber, I first saw her in Moving Violations, and I thought she was hysterical in that. I Want to Hold Your Hand here on Blu-ray,
oh
and yep, I've got the Blu-ray here. I just got Elm Street out here, but I've got that and I have 1941 here on Blu-ray, Um, but let's talk about I Want to Hold Your Hand. Were you on screen any? Because was it that one that you were playing one of the fangirls, or am I mistaken?
I actually played several parts in that movie. I mean, I guess they already had me. Well, I was on what they call dailies. So when they needed me, they hired me. But because they knew me and they knew that I could get the stunt done, I actually played, um, well, I played two parts and I stunt doubled Wendy Jo Sperber. So three parts, technically speaking. I was the person that jumped out of the car when Wendy's character knew that the answer was Paul McCartney. She's going, "Stop the car!
Yep.
Stop the car!" I'll jump. And I was the one who jumped out of the car and ran up to the phone booth and made the phone call. And I was such a good double that actually they were telling or asking Wendy, "Did you really do that jump out of the car? I mean, it looked exactly like you." Um, okay, so yes, I was also a fan when the limousine, well, uh let's see, I think it was Bobby DeChico was waving the wig out of the window saying, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, I want to hold your hand," and all of a sudden, like 700 people just ran towards the car. I was one of the people on the trunk of the car, and as it jumped the curb and took off, I fell off the back of the car. But then when they're on the Ed Sullivan show, when the Beatles are on the Ed Sullivan show,
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually the person that faints and falls down the staircase. So that's me.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah. So a bunch of things, which from I Want to Hold Your Hand kind of led to 1941.
Did you get to beat up Eddie Deason?
I'm sorry, say that. Did I?
Get to beat up Eddie Deason? Because
Uh,
that
no.
was Wendy Joe Sperber
Yeah. Yeah. I
grabbing him.
mean, no. I mean, I know who he is, but no, we really didn't have any scenes together.
So Wendy did that stunt.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, she was actually, well, how do you say, without being PC, for a woman her size, she actually was extremely agile,
Mm-hmm.
and she did a lot of I'll say stunts herself. I mean, she jumped on Treat Williams in the dance sequence. Or wait a minute, I'm doing 1941
1941.
now.
That's okay. We're getting there. So
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Is that well, except Treat wasn't in I Want to Hold Your Hand, but um uh let's see.
let's talk.
I'm now I'm trying to think what, as
Let's
I said,
talk. Let's.
when he was extremely agile.
Mm-hmm. Well,
I
let's.
one of the funniest stories though, and
Uh-huh.
this is because being a stunt woman, um, I happened to be flying back to from Los Angeles back to New York to visit my parents. And I go into one of those magazine stores and they had interviews. Um, Actually, again, I think it was from 1941 where they were interviewing people, and and they asked, all right, now I'm getting mixed up. Anyways, they asked Wendy if she did this certain stunt, and she said yes. And I'm wondering then why did I get paid for it? No, it was great. I mean, Wendy, she later did this movie called Stewardess School, and she actually requested me. And that's the best thing of all, is when an actress requests you, they know you're a good double and they know you can get the stunt done.
That's awesome. You know, 1941, I think, is an underrated Steven Spielberg film. You know, I love John Belushi, great ensemble cast, especially watching Ned Beatty destroy his own house. You know, I think there's a lot of I love the making fun of Jaws, Spielberg parodying his own Jaws at the beginning of it with the same actress. I love that.
Right.
Yeah. But and I remember Eddie Deason told me a story where he was up on the Ferris wheel and he was feeling sick. And he said he remembers Steven Spielberg allowing him to rest in his trailer. And he says he remembers throwing up in Steven Spielberg's toilet.
Yes, I've heard stories that actually both actors were getting pretty ill going round and round in the merry-go-round. I mean, that was I guess that's what they mean, suffering for your art.
Well, you suffered in 1941. Would you like to go into that into detail?
Yeah, there was well, actually, I did several stunts for Wendy on that movie as well.
Hmm.
But I would say one of the most dangerous stunts that I did was when the motorcycle sidecar splits away when John Belushi pulls the pin. We had a motorized sidecar, and the stuntman, his name's Mike Cassidy, was supposed to drive the sidecar up this loading dock, and we were supposed to go up this ramp and jump into the back of it. Well, the vehicle was supposed to fly into the back of the egg truck, or steak bag truck is the name of the type of truck. And every time that we got close to the ramp, we'd run out of gas, and Mike would have to abort the stunt, and he would get out of the vehicle, out of the sidecar, and we'd roll it back to the beginning, and the vehicle would start up again, and he'd get back in, and I'd get on the front of the sidecar, and again, once again, we'd get to the ramp and we'd run out of gas. Well, it turns out that the mechanics that built the sidecar put the gas line between these metal struts, whatever you want to call it, and the seat that went down that Mike was sitting on. So with the gas line over the piece of metal and the seat on top of it, every time Mike sat down on it, he was cutting off the gas, and that's why we were running out of gas. So that night, well, it was the last time we did it. Uh, he thought, Mike thought that we were going to make the jump. And he drove us up and over the ramp, and the vehicle ran out of gas, like when we were in midair, and we hit the back of the truck. Now they had pads on the ground, so Mike, flipped over and fell on top of the pads. I slid onto the, whoops, I slid onto the truck. But if you really think about it, is that if we had hit any lower, I would have been decapitated.
Oh,
I mean, so that was mechanical error as opposed to stunts. I mean, I will never take a stunt that I don't think I can do. I mean, I've been called up and asked to lay down a motorcycle. I don't ride motorcycle. I can sit on the back of a motorcycle, but I don't ride motorcycles, let alone lay them down. Um, and I, said thank you very much, but here's the name of a stunt woman that does do motorcycles, but I've turned down jobs because not only am I endangering myself, I'm endangering the crew.
Yeah. So on the flip side of that, what's the most fun stunt you have ever performed? And what was the context of it? Like what movie or television show?
Yeah. Um, hmm. Again, you can take a word and it could mean different things to different people. Another actress that I doubled a lot was Roxanne Dawson in Star Trek Voyager. And it was really strange is that for some reason human women cannot fight. They are not allowed to throw punches. They can hit people with the butt of a gun or a shovel or something like that, but they are not allowed to throw punches. If you're um an alien woman, for some reason it's
Hmm.
okay to be able to fight. So again, I'll call it fun for me was doubling Alana Torres. And I used to fight with the stuntmen. Well, there's your kitty.
He's my stunt double.
Yeah. Aw.
He doesn't have a hall pass though.
Uh-oh.
Kitty, you have a hall pass? My guest wants to know. This is Skittles.
Hi, Skittles.
Skittles says, "You're embarrassing me. You're exploiting me for hits." And I'm like, "Yeah, you're staying here for free." Yeah, I noticed you have a dog. Is that a dog you
It's,
have there? Did
he
he
gets
have a
an
hall?
automatic hall pass.
Yeah. Well, Skittles uses his hall pass while I'm trying to sleep at night. He's my buddy.
Not only do I have the cat that almost made it into the
Yeah.
town, she's not there anymore. Anyways, I have since he's right here and I've been holding him back.
There you go.
This is this is Isaiah
There you go.
and Isaiah and Hava, which is the cat, weigh almost they're pretty much the same size, almost the same weight, and sharing the bed with them. Believe me, well, I'm sure you've had the problem is that you know, they don't, as small as these two are, they don't leave me any room, or I got a kind of S shape in if you hope to have some space on the bed for yourself.
Yeah. Yep. Um, you doubled for Laurie Metcalf and Scream 2. Any stories there?
Yes, well, as opposed to stories is again, Wes Craven was probably my favorite director. Not only did I do Nightmare on Elm Street, I did Deadly Friend, where I
Yep.
doubled in Ramsey, and then I did Scream 2.
Hmm.
And I don't know. That time, I think Wes was trying to kill me. No, I take that back. It was. I got hit in the head with a beer bottle. Well, it was a breakaway, but I got hit in the head with a beer bottle. The overhead lights were coming down and almost hitting me. A pillar was knocked over. A big, when I say a pillar, I mean it was. I don't know what it was supposed to represent on the stage, but I mean it was 10 feet plus tall, and it gets knocked over and I have to roll out of the way. um then I also climbed up this wall that falls down in these, it was styrofoam bricks, but I get buried by these bricks that come down on top of me.
Hopefully, you didn't get hit with the basketball when you doubled Anne Ramsey in Deadly
I
Friend.
know that I gotta admit that was scary, because boy, if you got a basketball in the face, I mean, I had to duck out of the way before the basketball hit her, and then they just, put in the explosion of her
Mhm.
head. But she was a really nice person. They're people that you only meet once, and um actresses or actors, uh they're either really nice, or you don't see them. It's I worked on the movie Clue, and um the actors were wonderful, but believe me, in between scenes the actresses all disappeared. They all went to their dressing rooms or something. but but yes, I mean, Tim Curry dropped me on my head basically.
Yeah. Talk about Mystery Men, because that's in your credits. I saw that in the theater.
That was well, the very beginning of the movie. It's all these retired people are having a party, and I had a scooter. And I mean, really, there, when you say stunts, I mean, we kind of went around in a circle. Um, and then later the bad guys crash the party, and I'm trying to get away, but again, it's just it it it's interesting. I mean, we also, a group of us did a stair fall. I don't remember if that made it in. It did make it into the movie, or I don't remember, but I remember a group of us just rolling down the staircase. Um, but it was it was interesting because you watch a television show, or you, in this case, cartoons, television show, and here you hear Hank Azaria, and you go, wait a minute, I know who he is. That's Apu. That's so. It, again, it it was a lot of fun. It's the one thing about stunts is, um, like you say, you could do a stair fall or a high fall, but depending on the situation, is whether it's a comedy or a drama or why you're falling. A dangerous stair fall I did was on a Star Trek Deep Space Nine, when I doubled Mila, uh, because she was supposed to be dead already. But the Jemadar throw her down the staircase, and I'm not allowed to, I'll say, adjust for the stairfall. If I'm coming close to the edge or anything like that, you can't suddenly become alive and switch positions. So in this case, stunt coordinator Dennis Matalone was very concerned about the stair fall, and where originally I think the staircase was supposed to be metal or something solid, he had them put a carpet, an underpad underneath the carpet, and I can't think of what you call the poles. I mean, to me, a banister is the top part, but he had several of them removed because he didn't want me to hit my head on the poles. So again, you got to trust your stunt coordinator, and even trusting your stunt coordinator, you got to trust yourself. You got to look at a stunt and decide if it's safe or not. I mean, you got to work with the special effects guys and ask questions.
Going back, and I meant to ask this before and it slipped my mind, but do you have any stories of John Belushi on the set of 1941, or did you get that meeting?
Um, I saw him on the set, but but I think the biggest problem of 1941 was Steven Spielberg had too many stories going. I mean, if there had been maybe only two or three stories, maybe the audience would have liked the movie a lot better. But there was I forgot how many there is. I mean, there's John Belushi, there's Slim Pickens, there's um the family that I'm the friend of, you know, uh, the Jap Trap. Um, that was me who fell through that.
I
Uh,
remember. Hmm.
um, you know, just uh, I again, I don't think that many stories can be told at one time and be followed. Is you know, you start going, wait a minute, where was this, or what was going on before they cut to this or that? But it's kind of sad because it is a funny movie.
I think so, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, you've done the conventions, and this is a question I ask everyone, what's the most unique thing you've ever been asked to sign?
You know, I read your question earlier, and
Hmm.
I don't know about unique, but I did a Star Trek convention, and there's a weapon called a bat lift. It's
Okay.
okay, and someone had cut it out of stainless steel, and he wanted me to sign it, and he just shoves it towards me, points headed in my direction. And so I don't know if that counts as unique or not, but it wasn't necessarily something I wanted shoved at me
No.
or pushed towards me. I mean, you could get hurt real easily on
Hmm.
that lift. Well, before I really forget, there's something else I wanted to say about Nightmare on Elm Street. Is that
Sure.
in the original Nightmare on Elm Street, if you watch the original,
Hmm.
here comes another quick. I guess she likes cameos.
Well, you said that he had a hall pass, so
Anyway, right. Anyways, um, the sweater that Robert and I wore,
hmm.
the sleeves are solid red. The trunk of the sweater has stripes, but if you look at the movie
Yep.
very
I've
carefully,
heard that. Yeah.
in fact, it was really funny. I was showing some pictures that I was going to sell at a convention to Kane Hodder,
Mm-hmm.
and he said, "So where did you do this mock-up?" And I'm going, "What are you talking about? This is actually still shots taken from the movie." He goes, "No, no, this is fake." And I'm going, "Why?" And he goes, "Because your sleeves are solid red and they should be striped." Well, he obviously has never seen the original Nightmare on Elm Street. Again, if you watch the movie, it was solid red with stripe uh, midsection.
Mm-hmm.
When they went to make the sequel, they just couldn't find that sweater anymore. And that's why the sweater suddenly has stripes on the sleeves. And from then on, all the other movies, like I say, the sweater is striped all the way around. But the original, maybe this should be a trivia question, is that what color are the sleeves on the sweater that Freddy wore in the original Nightmare on Elm Street? And the answer is solid red.
Did you have a favorite of the sequels?
Um, now I'm I I'm a person who loves original movies. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, even go back to the well, silent films, late 1920s, 30s. I really like original movies over remakes.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm sorry. 1984, Nightmare on Elm Street is my favorite movie.
I like that one best out of the franchise too. I really like the third one a lot as well, but I do like that original one. And I had that beautiful Amanda Wyss on here as well, back a few years ago, and uh, listened to her room turning commentary. But nonetheless, it was wonderful having you come on here today and talk with me. I was wondering, do you have any charities or anything you'd like to plug and promote on here?
Um, there really isn't any charities that come to mind. I mean, we did talk about We Spark.
Hmm.
It would, I would, I would say that if people were to donate in memory of Wendy Joe to We Spark,
Hmm.
um, I'm sure Nancy Allen and I would be most grateful.
Yeah, I was so happy to have her on here too, and that took me I'd say a good 5 or 6 years to get her on the show, and I finally made that connection, So I was so happy to have her on. She still looks great and still has that hair.
Yeah, yeah. Several years ago, they did a special screening of 1941 at the Egyptian Theater in Los Angeles.
Hmm.
And yeah, I mean, she doesn't age.
Well, I told her it was the 40th anniversary or past the 40th anniversary of Dress to Kill, and I said, "How can that be when you're only 39?" And she is like, "Yeah, how can that be?" But nonetheless, I want to acknowledge Tommy Kovac of Splat from the Past for connecting us. He spoke very highly of you, and of course, he recommended you strongly. And I said, "Sure, absolutely," And you're in that pivotal moment in Nightmare on Elm Street, so I was like, I was so happy to have you come on here and talk about that, and see how many hall passes you're still giving out.
That's that's a great idea. Hopefully I'll be invited to more conventions, and maybe that's what I'll do is I'll have a hall pass that I'll give out.
You need to give one to Heather Langenkamp for search for sure. She needs a hall pass.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. I want to thank you so much for coming on here and allowing me the honor of interviewing you today. And I was wondering if before I let you go, if you mind doing a plug for my show.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Well, others have flubbed this up too, so don't worry about it. But just state your name and say you're listening to Greg Gilbert on Python's Paradise.
Uh, Hi, my name is Leslie Hoffman, and if you want to hear a great interview, just listen to Greg Gilbert on uh-oh. I heard
Python's
on
Paradise.
he's on YouTube, and you can listen to all his interviews, including mine. And
Absolutely.
and I also want to thank Tommy for suggesting me to you. It was a lot of fun doing an interview with him, and it was a great time talking to you as well.
Yes. And folks, remember your hall pass.
Definitely.
You'll be checking. Thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you for allowing me the honor today.
Thank you. It was a lot of fun, a lot of memories.
And A Nightmare on Elm Street turns 40 years old next year. Wow!
Right, and I'm only 39, so I must have been a year old when we
There you
did it.
go. You had the same growth spurt that Robin Williams had in Jack. Yeah, you were able to do it that quickly. Anyway, until then, great dreams to you. Do not let Robert Englund in there.
Well, that's another thing is that I've been written up in many books on Nightmare on Elm Street. Never Sleep. Well, I said I was in the documentary. I was in the
Uh-huh.
book Never Sleep Again, and I feel like there's another Nightmare on Elm Street book. There's a coffee table book of Nightmare on Elm Street,
Mm-hmm.
and oh, I well, one other quick things if I can allow is that
Sure.
this is how nice Wes Craven was. Not only did he give me screen credits at the end of the movie as the hall guard, uh, I'm also listed under stunts. Now, usually in movies and television, stunt people are never listed at all or rarely listed. Uh, and Nightmare on Elm Street is the only movie where you see my name twice in the credits, and that's due to Wes Craven.
I've heard wonderful things about him.
Yeah, again,
Yep,
just gone too soon.
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, you enjoy. You're only 1 hour behind me. I was actually surprised you knew where I was. Not many people know where New Brunswick is.
Right. For some reason, you said New Brunswick, and I'm thinking of British Columbia, and I'm thinking, you're like 3, 4 hours behind me. Um, and then it suddenly dawned on me that you said New Brunswick,
Mm-hmm.
and well, in Prince Edward Island and all that
Yep.
kind of stuff. No, you're ahead of me.
Yep. Have you ever been to New Brunswick?
No, I've been to Montreal. I've been to Quebec and
Hmm.
Quebec City. I've been to Toronto.
Yeah, I love Toronto.
That's about all. I gotta see more of Canada. So there you go. You get you get me on horror conventions in Canada so I can visit all the provinces in Canada.
Well, I'm doing Frightmare in the Falls this fall. I'm assisting Lisa Langlois at that, and I may even see Sean Clark there because some of the Halloween people will be there. So I'll have to see if he still has his hall pass.
Yeah, actually, I forgot what country it was. Is that they did an article on Sean Clark, and it's in whatever language. Again, I can't remember what country it was, but the picture he used was a picture of himself and myself from Never Sleep Again from the documentary. So I'm in a foreign magazine as well.
There you go. Well, with that, I'm going to bid you a wonderful evening. Relax, enjoy the company of your pets because they seem to like having you around.
Yeah,
Mine does as long as I have a treat bag.
yeah. Well, right now the dog is Isaiah is asleep on my arm, so I can't move my left arm.
They
It's like
tend to do
that.
that, don't they? My cat has a tendency when I'm asleep, he'll get up on top of me and he'll stretch out and sleep on my left thigh. I don't get that, but he'll stretch right out on my left thigh.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, they have favorite places, and that's it. And I don't know if your leg falls asleep or not, but yeah, you don't move your leg the whole night, or you
Well,
try not to.
well, what he does, his tail flicks around, and I'll put my hands above the blanket, and I'll grab his tail, and I'll stroke it with my index finger, and doesn't seem to bother him. Lets it flick.
Yeah, no, I've read articles that you're not supposed to allow pets to sleep in bed with you. I never, I never could sleep without a pet in bed with me.
Yeah, it's always fun, and have the company. They're wonderful company.
Yes,
So, yep. And plus they keep Freddy Krueger away.
right,
There you
right.
go.
That, right. Either the cat will scratch them, or the dog will bite them, or bark, at least bark at them, maybe.
Well, my cat won't scratch. My cat's a wussy cat. But he'll chase toy mice. That's about as vicious as he gets. Oh, but anyway, I bid you a wonderful evening. You take care of yourself, and hopefully we'll see you at a convention here soon.
Okay, that's a problem, and I'll bring you a hall pass.
I need a hall pass.
Right.
Absolutely. A hall pass.
Okay, that's a promise.
Absolutely. You take care.
You too. Bye.
Bye bye.